Don't be an AI tourist. Those are not my words. They are coming from a piece that I read on the World Economic Forum blog. And the article led me to this survey here. I'm going to talk to you about the great insights in this survey. There's a lot, and you might not have time this weekend, but luckily I've got 5 things in the survey that I've summarized for you. Also, this week I have a very special guest, someone I've known for over a decade. We launched 3 companies together. We're going to talk about lessons learned in business. But before that, like we do every week, the 3 leaders in the field of Gen AI, data and analytics, I want to highlight, make sure you know them and you follow them. The first one is Chris Ross from Mayo Clinics. He is a CIO there. In the press release, he provides a great framework for thinking about how AI can be used to scan lots of data to identify patterns, how now with Gen AI, data can be reviewed in more sophisticated ways, information can be condensed, digested, to unlock sources of information that typically aren't searchable in conventional ways. They're difficult to access, interpret, while also taking into account, of course, data governance, privacy policies, so customers retain control over their data. Really interesting use case. I put all that in my blog so you know the story, but also you know a little bit more about Chris. The second hero is Twilio's CEO, Jeff Lawson, and he talks about the use of Gen AI and how it's powering really rich, compelling customer journeys. In their example, they're using customer service representative, they're chatting with the customer, and Gen AI prompts them with the next best action based on the customer specific history. And after a customer hangs up, Gen AI will generate basically the profile with after call summaries and sentiment analysis. So really an interesting way to think about how Gen AI can help you and add to the value that your customer support reps are already providing. And the third one is a story with Martin Broadbeck. He is Priceline's CTO, and in the blog he talks about how they're going to think about a sophisticated way to give you a chatbot for planning trips. So now you can get better hotel suggestions that are kind of like think about as a personal concierge tailored to users. So really great, clear examples of customers who are using Gen AI, and hopefully helps you think about how you can use it as well. There's a lot of developments in this industry, and what's important, I think, is to follow the real life examples so you can get guidance on how you can do it as well. Now, speaking of which, the 2023 AI Readiness Report is full of great insight. This one is, I would say, the thing that if you only have time to read one thing this weekend, is the report to read. It has results from interviews of almost 3,000 machine learning practitioners in North America, interviews conducted between December 2022 and January 2023. And there's at least 5 great insights that I think are worth highlighting. The first one is the state of Gen AI. 21% of people in production, 29% experimenting, 31% are planning, so only 19% have no plan. So if you're in the no plan category, you start realizing a lot of people, a lot of CIOs now are really starting to plan that into how they're going to put into production. Second, the report gives us a good sense of the types of use cases. 61% of the time, people are talking about Gen AI for better customer experience. 50% of the time, it's about efficiency and profitability. Also, the types of models that people are using has changed year over year. It really is about language this year. NLP, speech recognition, have now passed computer vision models based on what these practitioners are saying they're working on. All industries are investing, but they're investing differently. Insurance, logistics, financial services are the top 3 that are investing, but they have different goals. FSI, for instance, is very focused on customer experience, whereas logistics obviously is about operational efficiency. And then finally, we read in the report that the biggest challenge remain data quality, data collection. And we've talked about this in the past. You've heard me talk about the acronym GIGO, G-I-G-O, garbage in, garbage out. The average organization we know loses about $13 million a year with bad data, according to Gartner. That's research we highlighted in the past. So data quality, data governance continue to be the main theme of how these models are really going to help you. So don't get lost in the noise. When you think about the implementation, really start with data quality and data governance, because they'll affect the ability for you to use these models. Now, breaking through the noise and zeroing on what matters is the specialty of my guest this week. Liron, I have known for over a decade. Her firm actually is celebrating the 10th year anniversary, and she specializes in helping tech leaders like all of us communicate clearly and understand communication coming at them. So, Lerone, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. First of all, happy anniversary. You can join us here and unmute yourself, and you're in the car, you've got glasses, you're looking great. Thanks for doing that. I know it's not always easy. So let's start with what you specialize in, right? Working with product leaders, CIOs, CEOs, who are trying to communicate. What are the biggest blind spots that they have when it comes to communication?
We work with technologists, really. And the biggest blind spot that we see is that people in tech are too focused on features and tech. And you need to zoom out really and understand that the people that are going to decide whether or not to use your product and become even eventually your company's advocates, they're trying to solve a problem. They need to solve something. They need to either do their job better, they want a raise, they want a bonus, they want their boss to be happy with them. They have stuff to do every day. And we need to start looking at everything from their perspective. And that means that if all we do is talk about the features and the technology, we're forgetting their perspective. We need to make sure that the story that we tell is how the technology is going to solve their problem. And this all kind of leads to another blind spot, which is assuming that people care about your product and care about your company. And the issue with that is that, no, they probably don't. They don't wake up in the morning thinking, wow, I'm really excited about this new solution that I heard of. No, it's your job to get them excited. And understanding how to create those narratives that answer their problems and their challenges is really key. There are a lot of different ways to do it. For instance, customer stories. If you have customers who are really excited and who have gotten really great results, letting them tell the story of why your product is so useful. Sometimes it could even be a founder story. Maybe, they founded a company because they were once in your shoes and they saw a problem that the market wasn't addressing, and now they're able to do their job better, and now they're helping others. So it's really a lot about figuring out what is the perspective of the person you're speaking to, of your target audience, and telling the stories that are going to be useful and interesting to them.
So we always talk about this idea, right? The functional value, but here you're referring to the emotional value and really kind of understanding the job that they're going to hire your product to solve. And this works internally and externally. Now, you work with a lot of organizations, of course. What is the biggest misunderstanding that product leaders have with communication agencies like you?
So what we find is across the board, but especially the more technical a person is, but really everyone, the biggest mistake is thinking of a communications agency tactically. They're not really part of my team. I have a news announcement, so they're going to write a press release for me. Or if it's internal communications, we need to have them write a memo to our team. But that's not really leveraging strategic communications. Strategic communications is really understanding who you are, the vision of the company, where you want to be, how you want to be known. And that means that you really need to pull in your communications teams for all those strategic meetings and let them be part of it. First of all, they should be listening. They should be hearing what you as a company value, what your team members are trying to achieve, and also listening to them, because they're going to see things from a different perspective, and they're going to bring maybe insights into how your strategic vision should lay out. Now, another really big mistake is thinking that PR is going to solve all your pipeline issues, that it's going to drive all your sales. Maybe even PR will fix your product, or maybe other kind of communications. If you have them create really great content, suddenly, sales is going to go through the roof. Now, it is true that communications should support all of that, but really you need to have that lined up and making sure that in particular with B2B companies, understanding what the communications agency is going to actually support you on and what it's not going to be able to do for you. And this really is for B2B companies, because for B2C, it's a little bit different. It really does drive sales often. But for B2B, you're building validation, you're building credibility. This is a long game. It's not like someone walks in a store and buys your product, right? Generally, that's not how it works. It's not like going to buy a pair of shoes. And even with that, I'm very picky. I might go in and out of the store 10 times before I buy those shoes. So certainly when it comes to a technology solution, that sometimes is also going to be huge cost, et cetera, and implementation and all that. So what you need to start thinking about is communications as something that's going to help you in the short run on certain tactical things, but in the long run, it's going to help support your overall strategy. It's going to bring your brand and your solution credibility and validation. And it's going to do that through an assortment of activities. And I think that, another big misunderstanding is that you can just hire a communications agency and walk away and not really partake, that it's going to be just magic. And that's not really how it works. You have to have at least one or two people on the executive level who are going to work hand in hand with the communications team, in order to make sure that everything that they're doing, first of all, is it's like a two-way street. They're going to need your insights in order to create really interesting thought leadership content and more interesting announcements, et cetera, but also so that you're able to convey to your team everything that's being done. Like an example would be that an amazing piece of content, like let's say a survey. We worked on many surveys over the years together and reports, and you work for months sometimes on them. Yeah. And then if no one is communicating to sales and to all the different departments that you have this amazing asset, so it's still going to create some sort of bump because the communications team and marketing are going to push it out. But think about it. What if your sales team had access to it? What if they had it as another touch point with customers, et cetera, et cetera? Or it maybe the company was featured in an article in a prestigious publication. So that's also for external. It helps with validation with your potential customers. Also internal, makes your team feel great. Hey, look, we got this great write-up. So there's just like a lot of ways that if you really think about it strategically, as opposed to just like this tactical, this group of people that are just going to create some tactical assets for me, as opposed to they're part of our overall strategy, I think you'll really miss out. And one of the things that when we've worked together over the years, I think has created such success for the companies that we've worked for is because you've always understood from day one that this is strategic, and you brought us in from everything to all the strategy meetings, et cetera, and then we're able to better support all those goals.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted you to talk to this audience, because as product leaders, we often don't think about the importance of the soft stuff, right? I always say it's the soft stuff that's the hard stuff. Communication is a science, and it's really important both externally and internally that you apply it as a science. So obviously people see us talk here and they know we could talk for hours, but we're not going to be able to do that today. So where can they find you, Laurent, if they need your help?
Well, the easiest way to find me is either on LinkedIn, and you can also visit our agency's website and or our LinkedIn page. Our agency is si14global.com, and on our LinkedIn page, you can get a lot of actionable insights on all different ways to communicate better. And you can also sign up for our newsletter. And once a month, we dive deeper into topics. And for those of you who are big Bruno fans, which of course you must be if you're listening to the CarCast, if you go on our website in the PR Academy, we have an in-depth interview where now Bruno's asking me questions. I turn the tables on him and ask him all different kind of topics. So for those and other leaders, yeah, and I'd be happy to answer questions.
Awesome. We'll put the link down here. Laurent, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. I know it's late in the evening for you while it's early in the morning for us in Pacific time. I will see you soon, and I will see all of you next week.